3 o'clock, and so I'm calling this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Engineering Equipment Committee in the Vallecitos Water District for Tuesday, September 24th at 3 p.m. at the district office. I won't go through the notice. Do we have any public online? Okay. Do we have any public comment?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll move right into the agenda. Item 1, capital improvement project update.
You want a preamble or just hand it right over?
Yeah, so Jennifer's gonna get this set up for Ryan. We'll hand it over to him. But normally at the quarter marks, where we like to give you sort of a quarter update, and I think you're familiar with Ryan, kind of running through the website and showing you the updates off of our online platform. So we're gonna do something a little different, put a presentation together, just because we've got so many millions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, $15 million in construction projects active right now. We want to kind of show you all the projects that we're currently building, and there's a suite of them that are coming, that are all coming to completion. And this is sort of to give you a little bit of a precursor that they're all going to be coming to the full board for action. So final acceptance. So information only item, but just give you sort of a heads up that there's going to be a bunch of actions coming to the board.
And if you have any questions on any of these items, because they're all fairly significant projects, please don't hesitate either in the middle or at the
As District Engineer Hubbard mentioned, this is kind of a more thorough pulse check on capital. As of today, a lot has been going on, and a lot is on the threshold coming our way in the future as well. So a snapshot on Q1, fiscal year 24-25. This first slide is really just a summary of our active construction projects going on today. One of the main takeaways I want you to take away from this slide is that over 8 projects in construction, just under $50 million in total project budget in total. And once we add Tres Amigos to this list in another month, it's going to be over 50. It's going to be about 53 million in total project budget. Another interesting takeaway from the slide, estimated construction completion. We have, was it 5 out of the 8 looking to be completed by next month. Really a lot of things culminating to final completion. Some of these projects have been active in construction for several years now, a couple of years now, which is not our standard practice. But I'm going to kind of get into more details on this.
Are those all paid? Those 5?
Are they what?
Are they all paid?
They're progress payments as we go. They're not final bill. They're not paid out of retention yet. And then we will bring these shortly for board acceptance as well. Los Pozos water line replacement. Director Pennick and Grosset were recently on site. We deputized them as assistant PMs for the day. It was great having you on site. Really just to see the trenchless undercrossing right here of the existing culvert that's in the road. We came up with a trenchless solution that would otherwise cost the district millions in open trench excavation and repair. We awarded the project back in March, and we are going to complete this month. We're actually out there doing final paving, I think, this week. And we had a successful install, the premise liner. So that was great news. That was this kind of fold and form blue Kevlar lined plastic liner that's a alternative to CIPP trenchless rehabilitation, which you are familiar with. Coronado Hills tank and Richland 1 tank refurbishments. Again, we recently had a field trip out there with 4 of the 5 board members. I think Director Elitharp, you're the only one who wasn't there. But as you mentioned, you've seen enough of these in your time to know what one looks like. This picture is inside of the refinished Coronado Hills tank. And then this is a before and after picture of Richland 1. You can see the nasty oxidation before picture and the nice new refinished exterior of Richland 1. Total combined contracts amount were just under $2 million. These were awarded sometime ago, I believe back in January, mobilization occurred in January. And we're looking to complete this month. Final punch list is ongoing, and we look to get out of there by October. The failsafe Buena Reach rehab project has been going on now. We awarded a construction contract back in August of last year with a time of completion that would have taken us to July 1st of this year. As you know, we're approaching October now. Project is delayed. This is one of the more conflicted projects we have in capital. It's experienced, well, we issued change order 1. That extended mainly through rain delays, time of completion to August 16th. So contractually speaking, the contractor's been in liquidated damages since August 16th. They've been struggling with their subcontractor, their lining subcontractor, to finish the work. All the new installed HDPE is complete, it's accepted. There was a real big success story around the newly installed pipe, but the rehabilitation process is a different story. So because of those difficulties, we just authorized change order 2 last week. We offered the contractor essentially a menu of options to give them an off-ramp to complete the project to either full success or to stop short and give the district a deductive credit, and we would part ways. One of those options was to switch the lining technologies to Primus Liner, the same vendor who installed the Las Postas water line. It's a pressure liner. It's a competitor to a pressure CIPP. And because the failsafe Buena Reach doesn't have any outlets or other influence coming in, like sewer laterals or connections, it makes Primus Liner a top contender and a valid product to use in this situation. So approximately 2,500 feet is being installed this week, a Primus Liner out there right now. That's the good news, is we are moving forward towards project success to actually finish all the rehab in the project. But it doesn't come with some overages. For instance, our construction management and inspection firm has been working for now going on 4 months, additional time from their original contract. They're actually out of money. They're working a bit at risk right now, understanding that we are going to go to the board we were trying to bundle it all together at project acceptance to give our CM an amendment at that time. We may end up coming to the board before acceptance to get this amendment done. That way we can at least pay our CM, because this project could potentially go into November as we're finishing up the things on the top side out of the pipe. We hope to be out of the pipeline in mid-October, so we can actually use the fail-safe again come mid-October is what we're looking at.
And that's gonna be really important, because if we hit the winter months or we have troubles at Meadowlark, that's what they use, the fail-safe to go and up to the ocean outfall. So it's important that be in service before a winter rainy season.
I just drove by it, saw it going in, actually, it was coming up.
Oh, did you?
From Encina. It's a little bit bigger, seems like a little bit bigger than.
Bigger, 16
Yeah,
inch.
It was white with the.
Yep.
White, yeah.
We were doing 10 inch at the Las
Yeah,
Postas,
so I
this
saw
is
it.
16.
They were pulling it through as I was driving by.
They're doing 4 stretches in one day. So the four reach is almost 2,000 feet pulling through in one day. And that being said, last month, we were part of the curing process of the CIPP pressure liner, and the difficulties of the subcontractor require a lot of overtime work that wasn't expected out of not only our internal staff labor, but also our construction management and inspections team. They were really working some days was a 24/6 operation, really out there around the clock. We racked up costs associated with overtime work. It really kind of became cost prohibitive for the district to continue down the road of that CIPP pressure liner install. That's kind of why we found this off ramp and are pivoting to a different direction with it.
What's the magnitude of the overage at this point?
Of a change order,
Yeah, well, the CM cost overage.
we're looking at roughly about $250,000 right now, and the original contract value was about $550. So pretty significant, pretty significant. That being said, they've been out there and putting in a lot of time. It's not for nothing, but that was one of the factors that went into our decision on making the pivot to the new vendor.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to kind of bring this to you along with all other good news, and this is one of those good news, bad news stories. Good news is we're gonna reach project success as far as completing the work, like Ryan said, because this portion we share with Plano Sanitation District, and it's not, it'd be nice, it's gonna be nice to sort of get this 100% done and not have to come back. But it's not without.
So we're 50%.
Yeah, when will be reimbursing us 50% at the end of it.
And that's the last bit of good news is that we have a common stake, we have a 50% stakeholder with Buena, so
So they share the cost.
they're sharing half of it with us.
Yeah, and Ryan and his team have been reaching out, so Plan is very aware of it. They've approved, the actions we've taken, so they're in the loop.
Actually be on site tomorrow with them.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to kind of the second most contentious project, you could say. It's just been on hold for a really long time. If you remember, we awarded for the 16-inch emergency bypass rehab project. We awarded all the way back in September 2022. That put us at a time of completion in July of 23. Again, CIPP pressure liner subcontractor difficulties. Coincidentally, it's the same subcontractor. We only had 1,000 feet of remaining trenchless liner to install. It was basically that subcontractor was unable to perform the work per contract without honoring a warranty. And we didn't feel comfortable with that. They weren't able to pressure test it per spec, and they weren't able to warranty it per spec. We couldn't come to an agreement. We shifted gears. If you remember, the board awarded a second construction contract to In Situ Form and Charles King Company in April of this year. And we've been waiting for the right time to get in, and timing this along with fail-safe wind reach and the metal arc improvements is a dynamic factor that we had to make there. We're out there this week, last week. They did their pre-cleaning, their pre-inspections, they got their footage and measured the pipe. Now we're in procurement. They buttoned it back up. They closed the pipe. We can use it if we need it. But now we're gonna wait till the week of October 20th. They're gonna come back out for that last week of October, do the lining and close it up and get out of there. The project's done. We'll bring it to the board for acceptance after that.
And just to kind of tie in the metal arc portion of it is this bypass is really important to metal arc because this is how we get all of Lake San Marcos off the metal arc. So if metal arc is having either process problems or having sewer influent problems, we put sewer that would normally go to metal arc down this bypass into our outfall to relieve metal arc. So if you're looking at both the fail safe being out of commission and our bypass being out of commission, plus construction at metal arc, that's a lot of what ifs that can go wrong. So there's a lot of timing that staff work through, working with operations and engineering together to figure this out, which caused some delays, and also besides the contractor itself.
Yeah, and I also want to just remind the directors that the reason that both of the emergency bypass and the fail-safe are so important is we've had breaks on. We had 3 breaks, I think, on the bypass, one which resulted in, I think, a $62,000 fine from regional board. I think we had at least 2, maybe 3 breaks on the fail-safe in that Plano region. So that's why both of those projects are a priority, and that's why we're pushing hard for success on both of those sections, even though, yes, it is going to be an additional cost.
So question on that, we have the same subcontractor failing on both of these. Are these because, did we know that they were gonna be concurrent? Or is one overrun and the other one? Because it's interesting how we would give a contract with the same subcontractor, 2 different projects at the same time.
The prime contractors are different. The subcontractors under that prime is the same. So
What's the difference in
It
timing
seems like
between
they're
the
overworked, to be
awards?
honest.
So they don't, we don't have
We don't have control
control
of the subs.
of the subs, so we don't have a contract with the subs, we only have a contract with the prime.
But we know who they're hiring.
Well, they
Supposed to
submitted,
name-
they
supposed to name
submitted,
the sub.
yeah,
Mhm.
they submitted and the sub had the appropriate background and experience to do the work, but has not been able to perform it.
And has done work for us before successfully. The 2 commonalities, the sections that they seem to be struggling with are the pressure liners. So the non-pressurized, the gravity portions, they've been able to complete with us
Correct.
successfully, no issues.
Yep.
But for some reason, this particular product of the pressure liner, it's just a different curing system, they're just struggling.
And they're working concurrently, so it seems like the sub is working on with us, I mean, they've got multiple jobs going on at the same time.
All around the county, actually. They're very busy all around the county.
The same stuff.
They are. I will say that the pressure liners, which are not common, the more common is the gravity CIPP liners. After these experiences on both of these projects, I treat it totally differently. I look at it very differently going into a pressure liner CIPP project than I did before these projects. And I'm very, very leery of proceeding unless we have really good cause to do that. It even with impacts to open trench, it might just be a better product and overall project result if we go about the project with an open trench in the end, after kind of the learning lessons we got on this one.
Yeah, these are the district's first two projects that happen to go somewhat parallel.
Right.
There's a little bit, but with the pressure liner, so we hadn't had that
What's
before.
the difference?
Well, I guess we did
Material
way
difference?
back in the day. That's right.
And in cost, you mean?
No, the pressure versus the gravity. Is it a different material?
It's essentially this thicker sock, felt sock,
It
and
takes
it's
longer to
a
cure?
different type of resin that they use to cure. And it is a thicker product than the gravity liners. It's it's a solid 3/4 to 1 inch thick liner versus the gravity liners, which are maybe a 1/4 inch thick. So
Lessons learned.
it's a more difficult install. The workmanship has to be really on point in order to get a good install. So if there's just a little bit of inaccuracy or inefficiency on the installer part and the workmanship, you're really at risk for having a bad product in the pipe.
Yeah, because they have to pressure test these after they're done, which obviously they don't with the gravity liners. So there's just additional steps. There's additional, workmanship. Exactly, it's key.
Meadowlark has been the the largest CIP project in our catalog to date. Right now, the chlorine cylinders were removed in July, I believe, or June. And Ed has presented on this prior in June 18th. We issued the construction notice to proceed August 1st, and we have been working out there, having weekly progress meetings, working right now to coordinate our first electrical shutdown to install a new electrical duct bank. So work is proceeding. It's looking like we're going to shut down MRF tertiary and recycled water production in November. And that will be brought back online at the end of April or beginning of May 2025. Stakeholders are aware of this. We've been working with O&M and aiming for construction completion at the end of September 2025. Costs are offset on this project by roughly $4 million in state and federal grant funding, as you're aware. And those timelines are associated with that grant funding.
So the shutdown was to match the decline in reclaim demands during the winter time.
It actually worked out really well. We were hoping to actually shut down before November, but still being somewhat in peak season and it's still hot and we're still getting a lot of recycled water demand. It's working out that we're not directing the contractor to stall. They are not ready to shut down. So
The contract has it needs to be back up and running by a certain date, correct? Is that May or March?
yeah, it's April 30th. After April 30th, if they're not back up with recycled water production, there's an $8,000 a day LD, which represents our daily revenue for recycled water sales.
And there's also incentive for them to complete it earlier on time. So
yeah.
So we tried to basically how much can we push until we get into the hotter months, and it came back to the original day, but the contractors compressed that schedule, and that's actually better for our recycled water customers.
Did you say incentive, like financial incentive?
Yeah, it's a small financial.
Up to $200,000 if they can finish early. We're I think $4,000 a day. That's kind of a reverse LD. If they can perform a substantial completion, I think before August 15th. Every day before August 15th is $4,000 a day for them. So it's kind of the way we structured it. Lastly, Montiel lift station, the gravity sewer and force main improvements are done. That's the good news. We're just waiting on electrical procurements for the motor control center of the new lift station. Based on that, we're looking at a March 2025 mobilization and construction start, and that will basically put us at the end of 2025 in December for completion. I'm working with the contractor to get regular status updates, make sure that schedule's not slipping. So if it does start to slip for some reason, I'll be able to bring that back and report it.
Is there still a problem with getting electrical?
There is, it's a 60-week procurement time upon approved submittal. So that approved submittal takes 3 months to get at a minimum. Then you're looking at 60 weeks on top of that.
That's the crazy part, just to get the submittal to place the order.
Yeah.
Or
So
really
that's ever
review
since
it
the
takes 3
pandemic,
months.
it's been that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's never really recovered
Yeah, the
for
sup-
that.
yeah, the
Supply
supply
chain,
chain issues
yeah.
have improved in a lot of things, but
That's
the
one
large
area.
electrical components, it really hasn't.
Mhm.
There's no off the shelf. Everything's made to order.
Yeah.
So just curious, is the cost for pavers quite a bit more than asphalt when we're replacing? You know,
It's more for labor on install. Materials, I think, are somewhat negligible, if not the same, but there's a it's fairly negligible on the entire
that's what I was
job as a
wondering,
whole.
pretty negligible.
Yeah, and there wasn't too many pavers. This was right there at the entrance of Norwell Marketplace.
Right.
But one of the
I
things
don't think
that
the contractor.
we were back, if possible. So one of the things that the board may recall, the original force main went from our pump station just to Nordall Road. But then we extended it all the way through to the end of the Costco easement. And the reason we did that is we were able to keep that force main, which is small, also shallow, while in the future, we would have to replace the sewer line, which I think is somewhere between 9 to 12 feet deep going to the shopping center.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it provide a benefit for not only the district in our president, but also provide benefit any future development in there, because they would trigger the upsizing of that sewer line, so the district, provided the upfront benefit for that.
Okay, now just design. This is just kind of a snapshot. Tres Amigos is about to go to the construction side. We're gonna mobilize probably in October, November on Tres Amigos, which is good news. The two big ones that are standing out, total roughly $80 million for total project budget, are the land outfall sewer section A and the Twin Oaks Valley Road sewer improvements, which we have been also making recent strides on. This is just a quick snapshot of Twin Oaks Valley Road sewer. We have RFP engineering design services this month and held our mandatory pre-proposal meeting. We have 4 interested consultants that are coming after it. Proposals are going to be due next month in October, and we hope to bring an award in December on that one. As for Trace, I already mentioned, we just brought this to at the last meeting for award. We have Trico on board as a general contractor. We're currently getting under contract with them. We do hope to give them an NTP next month in October. Roughly a year of construction, if not sooner. So calling it completion or acceptance to the board next October 2025.
So question on that one, Twin Oaks.
What else are the trace on those?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Development in an area. I know there's developers that they've been trying to get out there. Is this to encourage more development out there, or is there not a reason why we would wait for a developer to go out there and then take the cost of developing that sewer line?
So our projects never encourage additional development for growth. We don't, so we always react to the growth need. We don't provide for additional growth, just from a semantic standpoint. That being said, the need for the project exists currently, and there's existing development, but basically we're looking at our master plan. We did a sub-area master plan study that basically sized the pipe to what we need. And then the new cap fees, the district passed, the board passed, I forgot what month, that basically will collect the money for this pipe. June. Yeah.
Because that doesn't go up towards like 50 on Deer Springs then.
It's
Worth
It starts on Deer Springs and comes down.
Like how far up though, like by the Golden Door area?
No, just right at the
the
junction.
Terry campus.
Down where
or-
North Winona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where that split is.
Yes.
That's where it starts. Okay.
Comes all the way down to Mission.
So we're not going up any further than that.
Is that-
Okay. Is it all septic north of that? On Deer Springs?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
There's a little bit of sewer that goes up through the Golden Door, but that's about it.
I believe what we're gonna do is we'll structure, this is for the design phase, so we're gonna structure the design of that whole run all the way up to Terry, but I think we're gonna break the construction down a little bit farther, right? And so we'll kind of do it in two phases to kind of space those construction dollars out just for affordability, I think. But that's still up for debate, something that we're gonna review.
And I realize to answer your question fully, there's no one development, like a big Newland Sierra or something.
Right. There's
That could-
nothing on the
That could
books.
afford to do a project like that. So when you have lots of little developments, you know, onesie, twosie kind of units, and even a little bit bigger. So we try to basically condition developments appropriately, and the rest of it kind of goes into our CIP.
And then lastly, just a land outfall along with Twin Oaks Valley Road Sewer. We'll be working in design on these two projects for years to come, 2-3 years to come. We have awarded professional design services agreement to Dudek. That was back in June, and we've been having regular progress meetings. We're in the data collection phase and early preliminary design phases of that. So it's already off the ground and running. So that's the good news. And that's kind of it in a snapshot. I just wanted to remind you that the quarterly updates are available at vwd.org at this link. And this cast of characters right here, I'm gonna nominate this one for the next year's budget page cover.
You know, the hard hat is more like I want you to say like Cheerio or something.
Charlie Chap's looking
Yeah.
good.
With a mustache.
Get a lot of, you guys gonna get a lot of mileage out of this. I deserve it.
You definitely look a lot better than me.
Is there any questions that we haven't answered yet?
Okay, great.
Good job.
Great, thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to item number 2, development services project updates.
So the capital items is a quarterly update set by policy. It was a development item. It's an item that's not a policy item, but the engineering and equipment committee has stated about twice a year, so biannually, to give an update on the development. So I'll hand it over to either Jason, to hand it over to Elizabeth.
Sounds good, I'll take it. As we're queuing it up, yeah, exactly like the general manager said, we do this biannually, and so I think we're gonna take an opportunity to expand a little bit on, normally we just kind of run you everything that's in construction and what's in plan check and where we've got studies, but I think we're gonna give you a little snapshot of some other projects that are coming up. Again, sort of a precursor to some items that are kind of gonna come to the board, so.
Elizabeth, did you share it on the Zoom? Just to make sure.
Yes, it's
Okay, awesome.
I know this is really difficult to see,
it is.
but she's gonna navigate it.
Slow, so hopefully we won't scroll in too much, but development update for what the development services group is currently working on. It's a figure we've presented in the past, but just to remind you, the projects hatched in green are projects that are currently in construction. What's shown in pink is currently in plan check with my group. And then the projects that are hatched in blue are at the planning level where we're working on water and sewer studies for the project, or they're completed, but they haven't moved to plan check yet. So if we zoom in and focus on what is in construction. So this is a summary of what's in construction here in green, and it summarizes what water and sewer capital facility fees are remaining to be paid. Projects that are marked both at 0 means that developer's already paid all of their fees. The sewer capital facility fee amounts totaled for each category includes the new fee that the board approved in June and was effective in August. So that's what we're collecting for any fees unpaid. So for fees remaining to be collected for projects in construction, we estimate about $5.6 million in water capital facility fees and about $19 million in sewer capital facility fees. I would estimate that collection of these fees would occur probably within the next year, maybe 2 max for a project that's large and just beginning construction.
PA 344, when is that, where is that at?
So North City
Is it all
West.
North City? Okay.
Yeah, so it's off of Twin Oaks, just west of it, across from like Cal State San Marcos area. It's all the North City West project, and there's just different planning areas.
Yeah, PA planning area.
Yeah.
Have you seen a rush to prepay with the increase in the capital?
Not one person yet.
That's surprising, because it's went up quite a bit.
Nobody's been rushing into pay fees.
Yeah,
May not be that big of a deal.
yeah, it doesn't sound.
For our projects in plan check, we have about $4.8 million of water capital facility fees estimated and $15.8 million in sewer capital facility fees. These fees, I would estimate, would probably be paid by most developers in maybe the next 2 to 3 year timeframe. Planning level projects, our list gets much bigger. These projects, they don't always move forward to plan check and construction. Sometimes the developer does a study and the project doesn't move forward. So we will likely not collect all of this revenue, but a lot of it will move forward to development. So in this category, we have about $27 million in water cap fees and about $89 million in sewer cap fees estimated for any of these projects that move
What's the
forward.
Pacific multifamily? Where's that one?
The Pacific multifamily is on Las Posas. And what's the cross street? It's right here, Linda Vista.
Oh, it's a big vacant lot there.
Oh, yeah,
it's a tough one to go through. Okay, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah,
So that's planned, but probably we have to top that.
Yeah.
Okay.
yep, so that's the
Okay.
Pacific. Here's the North City West with different planning areas that you had asked about. A lot of developments still around the North City and University District areas. It's keeping the group really busy.
High-rise construction's really
Yeah.
coming along.
Yeah, they have a 12-story, 11-story, and a 16-story building.
Yeah,
So you've got the hillside.
we do. We prepared a study on that. The general manager requested us to, so we added that to our list. That could move forward someday. A project I kind of wanted to just highlight, it's kind of I would say a milestone project for the district, just because it's taken so long to get to fruition. And that is the High Point Pump Station Phase 1 and Wolf Water Line improvements. Let me go to the next slide.
You're gonna show that on the next slide?
I am
Oh,
trying
I was
to.
wondering, we're trying to get my bearings. Okay.
Oh, so it's the north end of the district,
Yeah.
just south of Deer Springs Road. Is the High Point project.
Mesa Rock,
Yes.
Deer
Yeah.
Springs, right against the
Very
50.
low. Oh, that has been tried. There are a bunch of pads up there forever.
Yes, for a long time. So as you might recall, the High Point Pump Station, which is located right next to the Palace Vista tank, it was originally constructed in 2008. The developer nearly finished the pump station, was doing testing and commissioning of it, and basically walked away from the project
In
No.
in 08?
in 08. No homes ever constructed.
Right.
The
There
district,
was things going on at that time.
yeah,
Just a couple.
memorable. They never built any homes in this subdivision, so this pump station's sat non-operational, not accepted by us for this entire time. So the project was picked up by current developer, Cal West, and they are rehabilitating the existing pump station.
Now, are they supposed to replace the pipeline again?
Yes, all of this pipeline, so all the way through here is the phase 1 pipeline. All of our existing ductile iron pipe is being replaced with new PVC. There's a condition assessment completed on that before I started here, and we determined the ductile iron pipe needed to be replaced. So they're working on that. In addition to from this phase 1 pipeline, they're building this line as the Wolf, we call it the Wolf water line connection. It will be connecting the High Point pressure zone to the Wolf pressure zone. This is our Wolf reservoir. It's our smallest tank in the district. And the benefit for us with that connection of connecting those two pressure zones is that the pump station, once it's completed, will provide us operational flexibility to feed the wolf pressure zone. It being our smallest tank, that's a benefit, especially if the pump station that feeds the wolf reservoir needs to go out. We have another redundancy to feed it. Similarly, some of the pad elevations in the subdivision are low enough to be able to feed from the wolf tank in an emergency. Not all the lots can be fed from the wolf tank because the elevation is too high. So that gives us redundancy both ways, and for that, the district has a reimbursement agreement with Cal West for partial reimbursement for the construction connection of the wolf water line. So where are we at today? If you were to drive out there, you would see there's homes constructed. They look like they're nearly done. I was out there a couple months ago, landscaping going in, stucco done, tile roofs on, but they're still rehabilitating the pump station.
How many units?
It's 38 single family homes, not all in
So
construction yet.
They don't have water?
They don't have water.
How did they,
This is a key point.
how did they get to do it?
There's a lot of negotiation and compromise from the district and the city of Escondido, who's the fire protection district for this.
So there's a high line constructed for fire flow only. So there's temporary fire hydrants on the high line, which is being fed from an existing fire hydrant off of the Palos Vista tank. They have to have a pump on the high line to be able to provide fire flow because that tank's not at a high enough elevation to meet fire flow requirements. So where they're at right now, they are, the pump station's near substantial completion. They still need to do testing, startup, commissioning. That needs to happen so that we can have a fully operational pump station before we start testing the phase 1 pipeline and the Wolf waterline pipeline. There's about 4,300 lineal feet of pipeline in phase 1 to test and almost 1,800 feet in the Wolf waterline to test. So that's a lot of testing to happen. After testing and commissioning is completed, it's operational testing, and then we'll make the tie-ins between the pump station zone, the Wolf pressure zone, and once that's completed, then we'll be coming to the board requesting final acceptance to be approved for the pump station, phase 1 pipeline, and the Wolf water line improvements.
Timeline on that?
It's a best guess because it's not our schedule, it's the developer's schedule, it's their contractor's means and methods. But if we were to make a best guess, I would say maybe December, January.
You think that's it? I think you're more optimistic than I am.
January, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, she's optimistic, so. So Elizabeth, she got the pleasure of working on this project at the city of Escondido, and then one of the first meetings she had when she came with Vallecitos was with myself and her and the developer and the fire department at the city of Escondido talking about this exact same project.
So when you're at Escondido, did you say, hell no, they can't start building it?
They do need water to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this particular project, I believe the developer had agreements recorded to the properties, correct?
Yes, we asked the developer in coordination with the city of Escondido and finding out they were gonna approve building permits to start construction for homes off of the High Line. We did work with the developer and require a special agreement be recorded on every lot so that as home buyers sign sales contracts, there was a disclosure notifying them that escrow can't close until all of these water improvements are completed and accepted by our board of directors. Just so that there was a clear understanding if there's any delays because water is becoming a critical path on site. At least we had a comfort knowing that the home buyers it was disclosed to them.
Yeah, because the worst thing we want is, of course, those home buyers calling us saying, we just bought a house,
So there's
but we don't have any
sales, they
water.
cannot sell.
They're under contract. They can't close escrow.
You know if there's any in it?
Several in escrow.
It may not prevent the homeowners from, the future homeowners from calling us, but at least we can tell them it's in escrow, it should have been disclosed by the developer.
Yeah, so that's why we wanted to kind of highlight this, and you can see the timing is critical, and we've been in similar situations before.
Separates.
1, 2.
Gosh, if you look at their website, I looked at it a few minutes ago, I think they were starting at about the 1.3s.
I would have thought they had it.
They're not as large of homes as I would expect for these large estate lots.
They're all acre
What's-
lots, right, or more?
Yeah,
Multiple-
multiple lots on top of them.
And their sewer service is,
Septic.
Septic mostly,
Really?
except for 2 lots on the western end of the project connect to our sewer system.
so
So that development right next to it, is that Emerald Heights that kind of
Yes.
creeps over?
Yes.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to highlight that. It's actually pretty exciting. You see this pump station getting completed, the Wolf water line connection getting tied in, and now Ed's department's really excited about that one. I think they've been looking forward to this for a
What are they
while.
gonna do with all that old ductile iron pipe?
They're ripped it out and it's
Yeah.
gone.
yeah, it was all in the same trench.
I think they should give
Are
you a
they
home.
physically removing the?
Yeah, so it was all in the same trench, because it's really rocky up there, so they didn't want to put a new trench in, so they elected to do that, and we worked with them on that. So, and they got that. We didn't want.
It was technically never our pipe in the ownership.
Yep.
Hopefully they don't sell it to a water district.
Hopefully there's water districts there.
Is there a secondary market for that stuff?
There might be. Well, there was for old steam pipeline, Tracy Acres.
Do you have any other questions on the development update? So will be a biannual update, so this time and then about 6 months from now.
I like those updates. How many units are going on over there behind CDS by Palmer?
About 140
Is that what there is? Those are all multi-unit, right? Condos or apartments?
condos.
They're all
Yeah.
condos.
Well, Restaurant Road is gonna get revamped to condos, and then my Leonard, my understanding, just got the old Sears building,
Yeah, I
but
just saw
I
that.
don't know what the plan is for that.
So one of the
Recreation.
latest things I've seen is building subdivisions to rent.
Oh.
Have you seen anything like that?
I personally have not.
There's a big
no.
one in Temecula, a big development that's homes built to
Wow.
rent right off the bat. So, yeah, new business model.
It's just one ownership, like owning an apartment complex, but they're owning a whole neighborhood of single family homes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Those 2 or 3 story over there, the CDS ones.
I don't know. I would guess
That's not a
3.
big lot, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the update.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 3, ductile iron pipe condition assessment. Cluster 8 and 9 project update.
Now I just want to go straight to Jason, as we have not refilled the asset management and supervisor position at this point.
Yes.
In process.
Many duties as the district engineer. So I wanted to give you an informational item only, just wanted to give you an update on this project. As you recall, we brought this to the board just in August, awarded PICA, our assessment contractor consultant, a professional services agreement for $149,000 to do the in-pipe assessment of this project. We're calling it the ductile iron pipe assessment cluster 8 and 9. So 8 and 9, you can see 8, you can see 9. And so these clusters, what you can see, were developed by our asset management consultant, looking at risk profile, what were the highest risk areas. 8 and 9 came up, as you can see, in the highest in the district. So we focused on these, and this is how we built the project around it. From these areas, we worked with our consultant to identify 3 representative pipelines that we would want to shut down and actually assess. And that's what you have. You've got the red, the green, and the yellow lines here in these neighborhoods. And then just to give you, and these figures were from the board item in August, if you recall. So the assessment from from PICA will be what's called remote field technology. And you can see basically it's actually called a hydrosnake, and you can see it there. That's their proprietary tool, and they're installing it in a fitting that they will mount onto our hydrants. We'll take the hydrant head off, they'll bolt this fitting on, and then they'll insert this tool. And that tool will generate an electromagnetic field out of the exciter coil, and then it will get received by the detector coil, and that will be able to measure the wall thickness of the metal pipe. This is all ductile iron pipe. And then from that, we usually will work with our consultants to sort of rank the readings into like a category 1, 2, or 3. You can, the pipe wall thickness is good, assess it in another 5-10 years. The second category as well, maybe you want to look at this in 2 or 3 years. And then the third category is, we need to get on this right away. And that's kind of how those assessments work out.
So how do they pinpoint the actual location? Just by feet? Like if they go down, all of a sudden
It's-
35 feet in, they all say this is it, 1 inch instead of 3.
Yeah, so it's a 360 scan. It's a full continuous scan of the pipe. They're doing an electromagnetic scan of the entire pipe, almost like an X-ray, and it's going all the way around. And then they take that scan and they kind of lay it out on the sheet so they can tell you where the repairs are. 9 o'clock position, 3 o'clock position, and pinpoint. And of course, they are getting the footages, right? So they'll know how far along they have a GPS location, and so they're tracking it as it's moving through the pipe.
GPS.
And Director Panic, we use the same technology at the High Point project that was just mentioned. But in that project, we had the contractor pothole and verify, and we found accuracy within inches or under a foot, and the correct clock location, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, within, pretty much within an inch or two on the pipe, on a 16-inch pipe on that one.
In
I think
seconds.
16, the bigger pipe,
Wow.
no, 12-inch pipe. So it was a pretty impressive.
How new is this technology?
Well, if you think about it, it's been around since the 1800s with Michael Faraday. But really, the 1980s is when it was really developed.
So it's been
for-
developed and revised.
Yeah.
and improved upon.
Yeah, and Pico's really been at the forefront of this technology, and and just so you know, they're coming from Canada, literally driving from Canada to do this work. And that's how they operate. But they're one of the forefront leaders of this kind of technology. And like the general manager said, it's been proven out to be pretty accurate, and so we're very confident moving forward with this phase. And it's a multi-year program to really assess our ductile iron pipe, look at the priorities. We've already done acoustic leak detection on these areas as well. That didn't prove fruitful, so now we're moving on to the electromagnetic scans, and that's sort of the process of.
The area is 89, is essentially San Luis.
Yes, this is it's exactly right. Yeah, and I'll show you specific maps. You can actually see.
So it's not that old.
No, it's not. And most of the breaks that we've happened that have occurred are due to third-party damage to the protective lining. And then once you've broken the bag, that protective bag, or you've skimmed the surface and taken off that protective layer on the metal pipe, that's when those corrosive elements can really attack it. Most of the breaks have occurred from corrosion outside in. Not all, but
Our condition assessment, we actually changed the modifier for the duct iron. If there's been no break data on a segment over a certain amount of period of time, then we assume there's no human error that caused that nick or that break in the protective lining. So then we gave it a full, 50 or 75-year lifespan. The pipes that we either experience breaks on or are newer, we made an assumption that there could be human error on it. Most of the human error is dry utility contractors. We're done with that, the pipe's done, we leave. And the dry utility contractors come in with their ditch wheels and end up hitting our pipe or hitting our bag. But the duct iron is pretty robust, so it doesn't break instantly, but you damage the pipe.
and out of the assessments, like you probably heard me say it before, it's really, we're trying to repair the right pipe at the right time. So we could find out that this pipe has got another 3, 5, 10 years. Great, let's assess it in that amount of time frame. Or we have a lot of breaks, we need to replace it all, or maybe there's just sections. So we're going to kind of assess that, and from that develop a CIP project, which we'll hand over to Ryan and his team, and they'll find out that they'll determine what's the best course of action, most cost effective. So that's kind of the reason for the project and the board action. You kind of see what's happening. So it's only been a month and a half since the board awarded it to Beacon. I just want to let you know kind of where we're at. We actually met today. We had a kickoff meeting with their logistics team, and this is the current schedule. They're planning to mobilize on the 7th of October. That's a Monday. We'll do a field walk with them, and then actually perform the assessments that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for these 3 sections that you saw highlighted, and I'll show those up close. We've already sent a letter out to the HOA, notify them. A week before this has happened, we're going to send which is next week, we'll be sending letters to all the customers, letting them know that this is coming, and then we'll actually do 48-hour door hangers as well. And we'll also be working with social media, with Chris and his team to put the word out. So we're going to try to, all our options to notify the customers that this is coming, so.
They're shutting off my water on my 20-year anniversary.
That's
Really? Happy anniversary, thank you.
Thank you, going
So we're
to.
gonna let you know way in advance.
Hotel Del. So are a lot of these breaks, so we've had breaks, that's why,
Lot of breaks.
are many of them on property owner's property?
No,
They're all on.
our mains are in the public
So
right of
it's all
way.
the mains, it's on the public,
Yeah.
it's not, there's no break offs that are
So
happening.
which dry utilities, cable TV? or
It's usually gas and electric. Yeah, you know, they've got their main going up the street just like us, and then they have services going on to each house. So every time, you know, they're crossing our
Yeah, so on
pipe
Sagewood,
every time they gotta cross to get to the other side, there's that opportunity.
So that connection, what is that? That's not ductile iron. What is the connection that goes from our main to the home?
Yeah, so our main is a ductile iron pipe, and we've got a brass saddle with a copper line, typically 1 inch going over to the property
None
line.
of those are breaking, it's just our ductile
And,
iron.
no, copper's been fine. Yeah.
on back, I forgot what year, but you know, in the 20 teens, Sagewood, which is a road just down the hill from where I live.
Right
out in
here.
San Luis Hills.
Sagewood.
We replaced that whole pipe. We had 15 breaks in maybe a 2-year period, 3-year period. And each one of those breaks was almost exactly where you see those utility boxes in neighborhoods where they have either the dry utility package boxes, green boxes that you see, or the SGG boxes. And when we discovered the breaks, we found the dry utilities sitting directly on top of the pipe, no space on many of them. And the other areas we saw breaks is where a poker was used to find the depth of the pipe. When they poked through the protective coating bag and actually cracked the outside protective coating. And those are the other type of breaks. So those are 2 break mechanisms, by and large, that we found on younger ductile iron that caused the break, all human error post-construction. So we've inspected it, we're done, and then somebody else comes in. So, and unfortunately, they all happened 10+ years after the pipe was installed.
This is just showing you a little bit of a getting granular. This is the Windermere section, so Mr. Gumpel leaves maybe here.
Next house.
Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna end up doing is shutting off this valve here and then this valve all the way down here and doing this, and basically they insert the tool on this hydrant and we float it using the line pressure down the line. And yeah, and in this case, we're gonna do this in 2 runs. We're gonna probably pull out the device here because there's a series of 45 bends and Pika's a little concerned that it could get stuck. And of course, that's a worst case scenario. We don't want that happening. So we'll be extra cautious. And then we'll I think, reinsert on one of these, probably on this hydrant and try to do this run. But you can see, unfortunately, because these neighborhoods aren't looped, which is typically how we like to loop our neighborhoods, and that's how we do it now. But because you shut off these particular valves, this whole back area and some of these side streets get shut off as well. So this is, and again, notifying them way in advance, and we're letting them know it's going to be an 8-hour shutdown. So they're going to have a week notice. Hopefully they can make arrangements, and we're hoping it goes quicker, but we want to try to give a big window so nobody's surprised. We're hoping to make that window smaller, but we don't want to. We're erring on the side of caution.
Lundy's, I'm texting my wife your phone number.
Happy anniversary.
And Ricardo, who's not here, will be in the field coordinating all this for us. So that's the Windermere section. We'll probably do this one last on a Thursday, I think is when your
That's my average.
street will be. Okay. Thursday, okay. And then this is the Thorley Way and Blue Water section, again, shutting off.
This was my first house in San Luis.
Oh, yeah, you lived over here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be shutting off this valve, and we'll be running the tool down this way. So
How far of a run can that tool do?
it can go, so the Thorley Way is close to 1,700. The Hollow Brook is the next run, 2,400, and then the Windermere
Two
is
sections.
it's 2 sections, it's over 6,000 feet. So just to show you that last section, this is the Hollow Brook Court section. So running the tool from here all the way down Hollow Brook Court through or across West Haven all the way to that end, and these particular side neighborhoods are also.
So it's not on Halloween. Those people there go a little nuts for Halloween.
Well, it's the first week in October, so yeah. Hopefully we're not no block parties or anything. It's midweek.
Well, you're looking, see, Thorley has a city approved block party where they close the road.
Oh, really?
But that's for 4th of July, and our
Yeah,
water main,
there's some.
and our water main broke during 4th of July, and they have a neighborhood like a bicycle parade where there's like 300 kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So in advance of this, we have worked very closely with operations. So a lot of times these types of projects are sort of outsourced to a third-party contractor. In this case, the district, is the contractor. So it's our operations folks that have already exercised the valves, making sure we have good shut-offs. So that's already occurred. The operations folks have already got the traffic control plan approved through the city. So we're all approved with the city. We've already met with them so that they know what we're doing. So we've done that advance coordination. Like I said, we're reaching out to the HOA. Next step is to reach out to customers. General manager is going to mention in his GM report at the next board meeting. So we're trying to get that message out there. And we're excited to do the work. And then just post work will be to review the results, actually put together a formal document. We'll review that internally and then make some decisions working with Brian and his staff. What's the need to immediate needs, or can we put this out? And then we'll sort of look at, okay, what next areas do we want to move into the next priority areas and assess those. And it's kind of really determined on what the results we get from this study. So,
and we want to be able to gather some data and then come back to the board at a later date, either through committee or directly to the board, and get an update on the success and the potential future use of this type of tool for condition assessment.
yes.
It won't be something that I expect to come back immediately after this first run, because it's just too small of a sample size. But it'll be something that we probably look at maybe, reporting, hopefully, when we get momentum and we fill the positions, and get momentum, hopefully something will come back annually.
Yeah, I do hope to come to bring this back to this committee and just give you a report out on this, just because it's kind of our first foray into this. So I want you guys to be updated on that, and then kind of what our next steps are.
How much duct wire is there outside of Silver Lake?
200 feet, 200 miles in.
Yeah, it's
Quite a bit.
It's about 30% of our system.
Yeah, it's
I want to see the duct wire. Yeah, district wide. It's about 30%.
Yeah, 200 miles comes to mind.
Total?
Total
Yeah, you
total
can see,
from the asset management plan.
yeah, this is San Alejo right here.
Mhm.
I guess that is this considered San Alejo?
No, that's Oak Creek Ranch
Yeah,
and then
Oak
La Costa Oaks.
Yeah, so it's really only 3 of these clusters out of we have 24. Yeah, so there's quite a bit out there.
So everything,
Outside of San Luis?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And-
yes, where his hand, where the cursor is, that those 3 clusters are San Luis, those are the only San Luis clusters
Yeah.
right there. The rest of them are outside. That are-
Okay, so all the rest that's ducted.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all ductile that's highlighted. If everything that's not highlighted is either steel, AC, or PVC.
Yeah, and you can see,
Mainly AC.
these green areas are low priority, low risk. And these little darker shaded are sort of that next low to medium. If you recall the presentation Eric gave on the asset management plan, one of the benefits of collecting this data is we kind of review our risk assessment, and hopefully those risk assignments go down, right? So the likelihood of failure value would come down. Now, the consequence of failure still could be high, depending on where it's located, creeks, hospitals, all those things. But if we can bring those likelihood of failure values down, it changes the risk profile. And then we can move on to other areas that are of higher risk that we want to try to knock. I think there was the pink colors in that.
The red and orange.
Yeah, that we want to reduce as much as possible. And you recall that billions of dollars that we're going to have to spend, right? We don't want to spend that money. We want to try to extend that out and get as much life out of these assets as we can. And this is part of that strategy. That's all I have. Information.
Good. Any questions? A lot of good information today, really appreciate it. Well, with that, we're out of items for discussion, so I think we're adjourned.
Thank you.